Hey guys, JMN here, welcome to my channel. On Sunday I came back from the amazing Summer Breeze Open Air and started working on a new Pick 5 episode. This time I will introduce you to the Touhou music scene. I'm sure many of you have never heard about Touhou music, so the introduction will take a bit longer than usually. I will add an annotation so you can directly skip to the music. There is a popular subculture in Japan which can be summarized with the word Doujin. The word is originally for people who share the same interests and hobbies. You can compare it with the English word fandom. Over time, Doujin eventually turned into a term for unofficial, self-published mangas, music, collectibles and other art for popular manga, anime or video game franchises. Doujin artists show and sell their work at big Doujin events like the Comic-Con, which exists since 1975 and attracts thousands of people twice a year. One of the most popular themes for Doujin music is the soundtrack of the shoot-'em-up video game series Touhou Project. The franchise started in 1996 as a fan-made indie game by the game developer Zoon, who did all the programming, graphics and music by himself. The game gathered a huge following and spawned over 15 main games, multiple spin-offs and other media projects. Many musicians started to rearrange the soundtracks or write music inspired by the lore. These artists are organized in so-called circles, which can be single persons or groups of people. The amount of existing circles seems overwhelming, but after a while you will spot familiar names in different projects and collaborations. Some circles create music for multiple franchises, e.g. the Doujin veterans Crow's Claw did many Final Fantasy and Touhou Project arrangements. I hope you got a general idea about the Touhou music scene. Before we jump into the list, I want to mention that Touhou music isn't limited to any music genre. You will find anything from neoclassic and jazz to hardstyle, power metal and even grindcore. Therefore I decided on a specific subgenre. In this Pick 5 episode I will have a look at Melodic and Metalcore projects, because this genre has some of my favorite Touhou artists. We will start with one of the most productive bands in the Touhou metal scene. Kissing the Mirror from Tokyo were formed in 2007 and accumulated around 30 releases. Many of them are full-length albums. Bandleader and creative mastermind is Wooming, who gathered a world band to perform his music live. This isn't common in the Doujin scene. Most artists restrict their work to home recordings. The music of Kissing the Mirror is a mix of classic Swedish melodic, thrash metal and some symphonic elements. There are many guitar solos and melodic guitar leads which show the influence of bands like Children of Bodom. Albums like False Administrator and Thousand Knives became genre classics. Sadly, Wooming announced the disbandment of Kissing the Mirror in 2015, so Words Left Untold from the same year will remain as their last release. Thousand Leaves has a similar style to Kissing the Mirror, but their focus is more on the melodic side in contrast to the heavy riffing of our first band. There are extensive solo parts and instrumental passages which demonstrate the high skill level of guitarist and songwriter Bach, who is also known as Kota and was involved in many other circles like Iron Attack or Dragon Guardian. You can hear heavy power and progressive metal influences, but the essence is the iconic Gothenburg death metal sound. Their latest vocalist West Village brought some metalcore vibes into the mix. I couldn't find an official comment, but Thousand Leaves are currently inactive and multiple sources stating that Bach stopped producing arranged albums. It seems like he will focus on his original music band Thousand Eyes, which I can recommend to every Melodic fan. Shuhei is a well-known vocalist from the Utaide community. Utaide is a term for people who produce vocal covers and upload them to video platforms. This movement became famous on the popular Japanese video hoster Nico Nico and later expanded to other sites like YouTube. In 2013, Touhou came together with two other talented artists called Irae and Kei Nuasa to form the post-core and metalcore group Silently Shooting Traitors. Their latest EP, Sleepless, contains amazingly good original music, but their first release, Stain and Rain, featured arrangements of Touhou songs. The style of Silently Shooting Traitors is pretty unique in the Touhou scene. Catchy clean vocals, aggressive screams, modern electronics and heavy breakdowns create a professional sound on the level of bands like Asking Alexandria, one of my favorite Japanese core bands at the moment. The next band on my list is often compared to Irae. While Silent Difference aren't a copy band, you can easily see where these comparisons are coming from. Silent Difference play progressive extreme metal with dynamic songwriting and dramatic moments. Singer and composer Irae uses a huge range of vocal techniques. Especially some of his clean vocals and his high-pitched squeals have similarities to Irae's vocalist Kyo. However, I wouldn't limit the band to this reference, because there's so much more to discover. Their debut album Belial is a masterpiece and should be known by every fan of dark and experimental music. So far, Silent Difference released only this album and 3 singles, but you can hear more of Irae's amazing performance in other projects like Vince and Julia or Vanitas Vanitatum. We finally return to melodic death metal with our last band, Vaguedge Dice for Dice Irae. Please don't be confused by the name, because Vaguedge alone is the name of bassist Sal's solo project. The other members are Kim and Rip Yuki. All members gathered experience in different Doujin circles like Imperial, Circus Dead, Decadence, Another Stream or Vermilion D. Alice Syndrome. Vaguedge Dice for Dice Irae is heavily influenced by old school melodeath like In Flames or Dark Tranquility. They even made a tribute to At the Gates by rearranging their classic song Blinded by Fear and mixing it with a Touhou theme. Their riffs and guitar sound are pretty traditional, but they modernized the sound with electronics and clean vocals. So far they released 1 single, 1 split, 1 album and 1 best of. It seems like the band is currently on hold, but I couldn't find any official statement about this. We reached the end of this Pick 5 video. I hope this episode showed you a different aspect of the Japanese music industry. The home recording and independent music production scene is very important and a source for many talented musicians. Many bands like Thousand Eyes or Undead Corporation have their roots in the Doujin music scene and wouldn't write their original music if they didn't gain experience in the underground scene. I just scratched the surface of Doujin music, so there are many other interesting circles out there. Maybe I will do a second part in the future. However, for the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave me a like. For more content about Japanese music, you can subscribe to my channel or follow me on Twitter. Thanks again for watching and have a great day.